Welcome to Taival Outdoors. My name is Joel. That is my dog Rokka, the Malamute. We are hiking here on these forest roads, trying to find a camping spot. Also, the daylight is fading fast, but that doesn't really worry me. But what does worry me is the fact that we've seen maybe 20 or so deer so far. Whitetail, roe deer, and a third species which I do not know the English name for. And I don't have a tent for us. I brought just a tarp because I love tarp camping, and the dog hasn't slept a single night yet under just a tarp, so I need to make sure that I really tie him down in case some deer bump us during the evening or night. Now it's time to get hustling and find a good place to set up the tarp, hopefully before it gets dark. I think this is it. There was another clear-cut area right there. I figured that we will go at the edge of it so that we can have all the light that we can get, but in the distance I also saw this area. Figured come here. I know it's not pretty, but there's plenty of light to be had. And I think this can serve as a nice bench to sit on, to cook right side this. And then I'm pretty sure I can hang the tarp somehow between this tree, and I have a soft mattress there to lay on. I mean, it's not optimal, but it never is, right? So, time to put this pack on the ground, tie the dog to a tree and get to work. I know you guys can't probably see anything, but I promise you it will make sense once I put on a headlight. Personally, I can still just about see in this light, and it's good to let eyes to adjust the dimming light conditions. But what I've done so far is I threw a ridge line between this spruce tree and this pine. I have tarp here as in a, how do you say, like a diamond shape. So I will next up throw in some prusik knots on each side, and then tie sort of this front corner, this lip towards this fallen tree, and the other one down there. And I will get a lot of good coverage, which is also quite high up. I'm not expecting any rain. It is clear skies, and that is what makes this trip something that I wanted to make, because it will get sub-zero temperatures during the night. Winter is just around the corner. So I needed to get out, practice my eyesight, get accustomed to a bit colder conditions once again, because the season is almost upon us. But first, let me set up this tarp and then show you all what I've done. All right, here we are. So like I said, I tied this front end to this fallen tree. And the rest is like so. I have my little lantern here, and this light will stay on for Rokka this whole night most likely, so I can always see where he is exactly. But now I think I'm not really hungry yet, so setting at the shelter is of course the first priority, but I might as well throw in my sleeping stuff here already before I even think about food. This is of course my to-go system zippered poncho, but it's still in its poncho configuration, so we need to unzip it and make it a bivy bag. Next up, my sleeping pad. It's not that cold that I would need my inflatable sleeping pad just yet, so this will do quite fine. And then for my sleeping bag, I have this. Let's kneel on top of this so I don't get absolutely soaked through my knees. For my sleeping bag, I have Carinthia Defense One top with Carinthia's own polycotton liner. This is my latest sleeping bag. If you want to learn more about this bag, about bivy bags, liners, everything, and why I have this bag among other sleeping bags, check out my latest video. In it, I share all of this, my opinions, my experiences with different kind of bags. And also in it, I explain why, although this bag has a comfort rating of +4 and no other ratings, why that doesn't really matter, even though it will get down to -5, -6 during tonight. So if you haven't seen that, please do check it out. There's also plenty of clips from my old trips from time before Taival Outdoors. So kind of archived material in that video as well. So check it out. And almost forgot, actually I brought also something with me that I don't often bring, and that is a pillow. I have 2 of these ultralight inflatable pillows, had them for years, and I am still of the opinion that they absolutely suck. So packing size is of course small, they weigh maybe 30 to 50 grams, but the sleeping comfort is absolutely horrible. But to make these pillows a bit more bearable, I've noticed that if you simply slide it in a buff or similar, this is from Kelly Clothing, so it's 100% merino wool, feels quite nice. That makes it a bit nicer against your head. Let's see if this setup makes any sense. I have my headlamp there on top of the GoPro. Improvise, adapt, overcome. So like I said, it's going to get below 0. Right now I suspect it's around 0 degrees or perhaps -1. This is by no means winter camping or even cold camping, but it is different. It is different when there's like 15 degrees difference during the night temperatures to what the body has been accustomed to during the summer. So I don't think it's a dumb idea to come out before there's snow covering the ground. And I was thinking about bringing the full Trangia kit and tarp tent, and I have the inner tent and everything with me, but then I started thinking that, yeah, because the Trangia might have given a bit of a heat inside the tent and so forth, to test how that would have gone. But then I saw some of my old videos. Funnily enough, YouTube suggested those to me, and by old I mean just time before the dog, which means time before my new tent. And I realized how much I miss sleeping under a tarp. So that's what we're doing then now. Yummy. And there you have it. A tasty sandwich by Finnish Defense Forces. I realize it's not the most interesting thing in the world to watch me in the dark, but this is the worst possible time of the year to make videos. It gets so dark so early on. I mean, it's not even 6 in the evening because there's no snow, there's no kind of ambient light, if you will. Everything is wet, so nobody wants to be outdoors. So in that sense, this is a great time of the year to go, for example, in busy national parks. Sorry, where are my manners? Whew. There we go. But I hope that we would have had more time while it's still a bit more bright than this. But the fact is, today is Monday. So it's Monday evening, normal work week. So I did my normal work day, closed the laptop, changed clothes, fed the dog, and started heading out. Tomorrow is Tuesday, normal work day again, of course, but I don't want to rush it. I want to see, well, not necessarily the sunrise, but I want to see when I go outside of this forest because I don't want to poke my eyes out while doing that. My sriracha pork jerky, potato, onion, bacon mash is rather nice. I brought 3 liters of water with me in these Finnish military canteens, and I've consumed now, or we both have, a total of 1 liter. I have actually 1 full and 1 almost full bottle left. Plenty to go for tomorrow morning breakfast, coffee, and of course Rokka's morning food and water. But I will throw these inside my sleeping bag. Funny how usually people talk about throwing hot water bottles to your sleeping bag to keep you warm, but these are not hot, quite the contrary. But they go inside just so I can play it safe and keep them in liquid form this night. And so goes also the dog's food for tomorrow morning and my own food bag, which I put the trash, all my trash, inside the used food bag, and then that and everything else is inside this double Ziploc bag. These go in just to keep them safe from any critters that might roll around here and look for opportunistic meal. So here by my old lantern, I have also a bit of a temperature gauge. You probably cannot see it, but it is right at -5 already. That's quite surprising. I believe it was supposed to be only around -2 this evening, and then -5 right before the sun rises. But anyway, that shouldn't be a problem with my sleep system. So bright. Yeah. I've been walking here around a bit, trying to take some photos, testing out my new phone if it's any good. But I think it's time to end this video for this night and hopefully sleep quite long so we have some more light in the morning. I guess I will see you all in the morning and report back how the night went, if it got too cold or not for this sleeping setup. Fingers crossed. I'll see you in the morning. Morning. As you can see, my plan was to sleep a bit longer, but usually the alarm goes off for me for 6:30, and that's also a cue for him that now it's time to go for a morning walk. And yeah, so time to get up, I guess. There's my gators. Everything is sparkly.
Let's see what the temperature is. It's actually below -10 according to this. There's the GoPro looking sharp. And Rocca, of course. No problem at all. These are still summer temperatures for him. It will be fun to pack this thing up. There's the sun rising. Freedom Seekers coffee, of course. Ota. Made the coffee extra strong this morning. To really kickstart the day. So about last night, I started with just my base layer, which is 511's brand new Tropos base layer, a synthetic one, quite thin, and of course my wool socks and beanie. But at some point I got a bit cold, so I threw on my Kelly Lupo merino wool jacket, which is also quite thin. I have it underneath this jacket right now. That acted as a, or still acts kind of a warm layer, and yeah, that worked. At least according to my temperature meter, it got down to -10 in the morning. I haven't checked it now if it's still around that or what exactly. And as you might remember, the comfort rating for that sleeping bag was +4. But I don't think the inner polycotton inner really brings that much warmth. And out of all the bivy bags that I have, this one is probably the least warm because it's quite, I like to keep it quite open for ease of access. With like a thicker merino wool, perhaps base layer, or even like a wool shirt on, it's nice to know that that sleeping bag combination can go down to -10. It is a summer sleeping bag after all, or sold as a summer sleeping bag. And I bought it as a kind of 0-degree bag, but now I wanted to test it out and see in, let's say, in a military exercise during late fall, temperatures might dip during the night in single-digit minus. So now I know that the bag can handle it. But now also, in hindsight, I should have probably taken a warm breakfast and not a cold one. But I wanted to see what this muesli and yogurt is all about. I think I've had something similar a few years back. And the muesli is nice in the morning, but this kind of yogurt mixed with cold water is much better. Woo, strong, but good. If you guys are interested, of this Freedom Seekers coffee, then check out the links in the description. There's always my latest discount codes and such available, and I try to be fully transparent in every video description with regards what companies I'm working with, or if I'm testing some equipment as a one-off thing for someone or so forth. And those Freedom Seeker guys also have quite funny podcasts, so if you're a podcast listener, I encourage you to check those out too. Okay, I think it's time to start packing things up and start heading out of here. But first, let's see how that tarp comes down and how can I fold it, because it's full of ice. Look who stumbled upon our camp. Hey! Mene vaan. Mene vaan. Rokka noticed him first before he noticed us. Good job.
Looks to be still around -11.
I have to say that the sun came up and it got really bright just as quickly as it yesterday went down and it got dark. Rock that. And -10, -11 degrees feels quite refreshing, I must say. Can't wait for us to get some snow as well. All I want for Christmas is a lot of snow. I have actually quite interesting video planned for winter. I want to talk about how to layer clothes when you're active. A lot of layering guides try to cover all seasons and all conditions at once, and they end up giving kind of a good generic advice. But when you're active in sub-zero temperatures, I think that warrants a bit more specific piece of advice and little tips and tricks that have at least worked for me over the years. So winter layering, base layers, outer layers. Then we talk about different kind of shells, hard shells, wind shells. Rock up. A lot of deer signs again, so he stops to check those out. And all kinds of stuff for layering. But that will have to wait until there's plenty of snow and good conditions for it. But just a little teaser and a heads up. This is as close to snow we have right now. Nice frost. But I think that's our video for this time. Nice little quick adventure to local woods to start the week off properly. You've been watching Taival Outdoors. My name is Joel. That little rascal is of course Rokka, the Alaskan Malamute. Rocco actually just turned 1 year old, so I guess I'm not allowed to call him a puppy anymore. But anyway, thanks all for watching. We will see you in the next one.